It's time for another CIRF report. Chris McCleary, National Dream Center, and we finally have a week where there's not like a lot of red flags or I don't know, hard warnings or anything like that. It should be a week of ease. Now, a word of caution is that the word ease here is not necessarily easy, so there might be some hard situations come up. You might be having to work hard. It is kind of getting into Virgo season. And so it doesn't mean that necessarily that a week of ease doesn't mean that all of us are just going to be sitting around doing nothing. Might be working hard, but the word ease has more to do with the astrology and the trines that are going to predominate this whole week. We have a lot of trines we have a grand fire trine on Monday, more trines on Tuesday, and it just keeps going, getting actually stronger throughout the week. So in the world of astrology, the word trine is easy, but it's not like in the sense of you can be lazy. It's in the sense of that the two planetary aspects that are in a trine, their energies easily flow. Okay. So, like if the moon represents emotions, well, and the moon is in a trine, well, the emotions are flowing easily, or you might be easily emotional, that kind of thing. So we have a lot of trines. That makes it ease, or the energy is flowing. The dream bot is very optimistic and very initiating. So it's the two very astrological things would be the Jupiter influence, the Jupiter, and that's a trine, by the way. Mercury trine Jupiter is going to come into this. That's very optimistic. Jupiter is very optimistic. And then Virgo is very initiating. So, to-do list and getting things done. Practicality. And then we have the I-Ching 52, hexagram 52, keeping still. And this is more of a metaphoric overlap, but it is a direct overlap. And I'll explain all this later so you don't have to kind of read in between the lines. And then once we get done with this influence, and I'll show you what that influence is, then we're going to talk about the solution. And the solution, as we see here, change lines 3 and 4, that two change lines with the I-Ching, and what that means is that the solution is quite a bit different than the influence. Okay, so that's the overview. Stick with me because we're going to go through the Dreambot first, and then we're going to go through the astrology. The Dreambot, as I said, it's very optimistic. Those are the blue arrows, happy, clearly beautiful, blonde, bright sky pro. So very bright. And incidentally, the I-Ching, as we'll get into, the solution is very progressive, optimistic, but it's fire over earth. And so that's exactly what we have. We have bright sky in the collective unconscious. Then we also have acceptance. And so, kind of like this, feel like it is what it is kind of a thing. Not like I need to be doing something else, something different. But yet the other arrows are. They are initiating from a place deep inside, at the core, able, opening, array, deep, begin. So it's initiating, accepting, initiating, and with a lot of optimism, right? That's the collective unconscious. And now let's get into the astrology. And we start off with a bang on Monday, the 19th. We have a grand fire trine, and fire can be very expressive, impulsive, but outwardly yang energy. And so there's the ability to do stuff. And now this one, these are two different times. So let me get my highlighter out. The moon is making two of these sides of the triangle. So it's just a single day. It's not a multi-day thing. But the bottom of this, the base of this, is Mercury trine Jupiter, and that's going to be throughout this whole week. And it's not an exact trine yet. The exact sides go here first, Moon trine Mercury at 10:40, and then Moon trine Jupiter at 5 p.m. later that evening on Monday. And so, but altogether, that whole day there technically is a grand fire trine. And so, being able to do stuff and move forward and express and assert and all that is prominent. And you got the emotions with the moon. The emotions is easily provides help with that outward expressing, so it's not conflicted at all. Emotions and mind, there's an easy flow between that, but that's only on Monday. And then Mercury trine Jupiter, as we will see, gets stronger and more exact as the week drones on. And this is the lower mind, rational logic mind. That's Mercury. And Jupiter being the deeper wisdom, deeper, higher knowledge, higher level of knowledge. We also have travel. Mercury is short distance travel, Jupiter being long distance travel. And there's a lot more correlations, but they are very similar. And with Jupiter being very optimistic, Mercury being very witty and adaptable, this is a really nice arrangement of trines. And so things do get easy. Now, some of us do have to go work hard, but this isn't saying that you're not going to put a lot of effort in. It says that things are going to flow easily. Okay. All right, so that's Monday in a nutshell. Tuesday, there's even more trines. Moon is going to make 3 trines here: Sun, Venus, and Mars. With Mercury trine Jupiter, that one getting stronger, so even more optimistic. And mental thoughts are easily transferred from, you're going to be able to get deep insights, especially as you're able to relax, I'm kind of hinting into the I-Ching reading, but ultimately the I-Ching is saying to relax, unwind, and you're going to get the deep insights for progress. And that's exactly what the astrology says with this Mercury. Mercury can be very chaotic and rapid and impulsive and that kind of thing, and then up and down. But in this case, the trine gives easy access to the deeper wisdom, and that's Jupiter. And so very optimistic alignment. And then all these 3 trines here all throughout the day, Sunday evening, and then even the next morning, Sun, Venus, and Mars with the trine. So all those emotions associated with ego, relationships, and then just energetic outward action, all those emotions are very easily flow. And so shouldn't be that feeling that you have to reject those emotions. All right, now we get into Wednesday. And in Wednesday, there's like a mood change because the moon's going to go over Uranus at midday, 12:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. And then, I actually missed in the morning, Venus is actually going to tip into Virgo. And this is where the relationships start to get less, entertainment kind of feeling and more of let's get back down to work. Like we mentioned in the last CIRF report, Mars is kind of waking up with a hangover after a long party, and there's that pause before you're doing stuff, before you're cleaning up the party. You're just like looking around, seeing all the mess that's been made, and that's kind of this feeling in this stillness. It's kind of like looking around and assessing, crap, like what has been done this whole time. And we've had a lot of fun, but it's time to clean up. So, and the relationships and harmony and balance is going to have that kind of flavor now. Is Virgo is to-dos and arranging and organizing and cleaning up. Okay. So we got that on Wednesday. Then Thursday, we have the moon. The emotional energy that we have in us is going to be kind of all over the place. With thoughts, they're going to be kind of conflicted. So we want to be very still so that we get more of the Jupiter influence here, because Mercury's being squared up by the moon. So emotions are conflicted with thoughts. And then emotions are sextiling. So making a nice influence with dreams, fantasy. So the unreal is more advantageous in thought than the real. So, it was Mercury square and moon sextile Neptune. And then, but the moon, why do I keep saying Mars? Moon makes 2 more trines. So 2 more kind of easy aspects. That continues that theme of ease throughout the week. But watch out for emotions being blocked from the thoughts. Then on Friday, it's starting to clear up. But the biggest news here is the sun also is making its way into Virgo early in the morning. And so now we have a stellium, 3 or more planets in a single sign, and that's Sun, Venus, and Mars. And so everything is that kind of after the party feel to it towards the end of the week. It's kind of like this void. I know I've got stuff to do, specifically the stuff that, kind of got messed up during my Leo party. And I'm not yet going out and doing that, but we've got that stillness in us. And then you've got the Mercury trine Jupiter that's kind of waning now. It's past its, actually, let me go back because it does go exact, and I didn't talk about it. Mercury trine Jupiter goes exact at 5 a.m. on Wednesday. So halfway through the day is the strongest, but that influence will still be there even on Friday, but I've got a little smaller line there to indicate that trine, indicate that influence. The big news on Saturdays, we get into the weekend, or a couple more aspects, moon aspects, but the big news is that Venus and Mars go exact and conjunct inside of Virgo. And, this can be very, ambitious, Mars ambitious, and Venus relationships, intimacy, beauty, that kind of thing. So it can be really wanting your intimacy, like demanding intimacy and going to seek it and stuff. So, but it does have that Virgo flavor. So there's a kind of a should in there. And so it kind of might feel more like a need rather than a desire, if that makes any sense. And then on Sunday, it's pretty clear. The only aspect to talk about is moon sextile sun. So it's the last aspect before the new moon. It's the moon's last aspect before the new moon in Virgo. All right, so that's the overall context of each day. You can see all the trines in there. It's a week of ease. And again, not like hard work or anything. Some of us may not have a lot of hard work. It might just be sitting around and accepting the situation that you're in, and maybe not waddling in it, but looking forward. Watch this. Here's the I-Ching. I kind of changed the format a little bit. I put both of them on here. So we have the influence on the left, the solutions on the right, covered up by this picture. And we're going to talk about the solution next. Take off this highlighter and take off that highlighter. All right. So for the influence, it's 52, hexagram 52. And we have change line 3 and 4 on there. And this one is called keeping still. What it is you can see the pattern here. This is a mountain. This trigram at the top is a mountain, and then the same mountain pattern below it. So mountain over mountain. It's very still, very steady. But there's a little bit more to this when we read in the various books. It's a temporary and self-imposed inaction for the benefit of assessment. That's exactly what we talked about with that kind of that the day after in the party with specifically Mars. Mars went into Virgo first, and we talked about that in the last CIRF report. But we've got Venus and the Sun doing the same thing, and so that's this after the Leo kind of chaos that we're kind of in shock, possibly over. But it's not like shock. It's just this change of energy. It's a take a break and withdraw to clear the mind. That's the Mercury. And when you clear the Mercury mind, you're going to be benefited by this deeper insight with the Jupiter. So make way for the new. And here's the change lines. In the third, the external enforcement of inaction. And so some of you may not be willing to keep still, or may not be able to keep still. And so what you all will notice is enforced from the universe, some sort of external influence to force you to sit still or be still or keep still, because this is really important, because the mind is still in that cluttered from the, I don't know, the Leo needing entertainment or needing to be recognized, or needing to feel good and pleasure and all that, and even creativity. All right, so here's the fourth change line, is perfected self-discipline and restraint. And this is obviously coming from the new Virgo energy. Virgo is self-disciplined and tend to be very earthy and practical and restrained generally. And so that's what we're moving into. But it's that the key here is decluttering the mind from that Leo chaos. And so all of us would really be benefiting ourselves by having some periods of meditation time. And meditation can kind of be chaotic if you've got lots of images in your mind and lots of racing thoughts and stuff. The I-Ching warns you that this is going to be the period that if you really force yourself to keep still, then your meditations are not going to be very beneficial. The keeping still has to come from an authentic place inside, and then the mind follows that. It's going to be naturally arising. All right, so that's all the influence of needing to keep still. And some of you might notice the influence in the opposite symptom, so not being able to keep still, like fidgeting and all that. And that would be a bad sign. And so you need to do things to keep yourself still. So get good sleep, eat well, exercise, get the dopamine levels higher naturally, not by fabrication with drugs and alcohol and other addictions. And then meditate if you can, if you're willing to, would be a great way to get that natural keeping still. All right, let's talk about the solution. And the solution is, when you put these change lines into 52, it moves over to 35, which is the solution. This one is, this trigram here is fire, and then it's on top of earth, which is all yin. The ancient Chinese energy workers saw that earth was female, and so created that as yin. Fire, yang over earth, female, fire over earth. And by design, progress cannot exist in a vacuum and is dependent on interaction. This is from the Book of Changes. The sun rises over the earth, the image of progress. Thus the superior man himself brightens his bright virtue. Intentions matter. You need to be able to foster the energy to correct yourself. You need to be able to accept that you're possibly making mistakes and augment those into right action. But right action has to have the right intention, the right virtue. And then ability to accept rejection. That's the from the rave I-Ching or I-Ching. We need the ability to accept rejection, because our ability to progress is not done in our own individual vacuum. It is dependent on the interaction of those around us. So progress is a little bit more of a community thing here, but again, we're still in that that feeling of stillness from the transition from Leo to Virgo. Let's look at the slideshows now, the summary slides. That's not the one I wanted. And this one's going out to social media on National Dream Center, Facebook and Instagram. It's progress that comes out of our stillness. So you can see here that in order to progress in this picture, it's a perfect picture, because it's kind of a quiet activity that helps us focus, but it's coming from that stillness. Because if you don't have that really deep self-disciplined stillness, you're not going to be able to balance those rocks to build that little rock tower. So you have to still the mind. Mind's still chaotic from the Leo party. It's time to calm the mind and get to work. Okay. And then intervention gives you the energy playbook. The influence is we're seeking stillness, or we're feeling that stillness, but you also feel that eventual progress, and that progress coming from that deep state of stillness. The neat thing is and don't forget about the Jupiter optimism and these multiple trine aspects that make the energy flow easy. The solution, according to the I-Ching 35, is progress. Clean up your virtue, clean up your intentions, accept rejection, honor inspiration, ability to correct. And that's all hexagram 35 in a nutshell. But there's much more to that. I recommend going to look at what this progress is for you and see how it applies to you. Overall, it's not a week to be sitting on your laurels, but at the same time, it is time to recognize that stillness is important. To be able to live in that stillness is absolutely critical, because it does open the door to the optimistic Jupiter insights, downloading big ideas into your nugget to where you can eventually use that into progress. So that's all we have. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you sometime this next week. Have a great week being still and progressing in this easy energy. Take care.